The landing is optional, the go-around is mandatory. Today we're mastering the most important do-over in aviation. We look at the physics for GA pilots and the automation for airliner fans. Welcome to this week's Microsoft Flight Simulator A to Z. It's time for the letter G, which stands for go-around. A go-around is the transition from an approach to a climb when a landing cannot be safely completed. It is not a failure, it's a standard maneuver. Think of it as a do-over. The procedure follows the golden rule of aviation. 1. Aviate. Stop the descent, apply power and climb. 2. Navigate. Follow your assigned path or the missed approach procedure. 3. Communicate. Tell ATC or other pilots on the radio going around. But how do you know when to go around? We use the stabilized approach rule. By 1000 feet in instrumental meteorological conditions, also known as IMC, you must meet these 4 markers. First, the speed should be plus 10 or minus 5 knots of your target airspeed. Second, the path, center on the glide slope or the PAPI lights, the red and the white lights by the runway. 3. The configuration. Gear down, flap set for landing. 4. Sink rate. Your vertical speed should not exceed 1000 feet per minute. But these are just 4 items. There of course are far more. Think about the ATC clearing another vehicle to enter the runway while you're in the approach. Could happen. In that case, also go around. And there are far more scenarios compared to this one. In a light general aviation aircraft, the go-round is a manual physical process. You are the flight computer when you decide to abort. Your hand moves the throttle to the wall immediately. Because general aviation planes have less momentum, the transition happens fast. The biggest danger here is pitch. When you add full power in a Cessna, the nose wants to pitch up aggressively because of the high thrust line and trim. You have to push forward on the yoke to keep the plane from stalling while you manually retract the flaps. It's a busy 5 seconds of flying. Now let's look at the big leagues. In an Airbus A320 the go-around is highly automated, but you have to trigger it. When you push the throttles all the way forward to the TO/GA, takeoff, go-around detent, the flight management computer FMC instantly realizes you're on landing. The flight director, the crosshairs on your screen, will light up to 15 degrees telling you exactly where to point the nose. The outer throttle provides maximum thrust automatically. The GPS sequences to the first point of the missed approach procedure. In an airliner, your main job isn't wrestling the plane, it's managing the flaps and gear sequence. So you don't overspeed the aircraft with all that extra power. A common question in Microsoft Flight Simulator is, can I go around after I've already touched on the runway? The answer is yes, but it's now called a balked landing. If you bounce hard or realize the runway is too short after touchdown, you can still go around as long as you haven't deployed your thrust reversers. Once reversers are open, you are committed to stop. But if the wheels just touched, full power, pitch up and get back into the sky. Just remember, the ground is very close, so don't retract your flaps until you have a positive rate of climb. Now for the ultimate challenge, what happens if you lose an engine during the go-around? This is the most critical flight phase because you are low, slow and at high power. In a single engine plane like a Cessna, an engine failure on go-around means you are now a glider. Your only job is to push the nose down immediately to maintain airspeed and to find the softest thing ahead of you to land on. Do not try to turn back to the runway, you don't have the altitude. However, in a multi-engine aircraft it becomes a game of physics. First, power. Maximize power on the working engine. Second, performance. Flaps up and gears up immediately to reduce drag. 3. Identify and verify. Figure out which engine died, that foot, that engine. If your left foot is relaxed because the plane isn't pulling that way, the left engine is the one that failed. 4. Feather. Stop that dead propeller from spinning like a windmill. The go-round principle here changes from let's try again to let's survive. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, practice this by setting a failure in the custom settings to trigger 2 minutes after you hit 500 feet. It will teach you more about rudder control than 100 normal landings ever could. Whether you're in a Cessna 172 or an Airbus A320, the go-round is the ultimate sign of a professional pilot. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you back next week for another episode in the Microsoft Flight Simulator A to Z series. Happy flying!